Let's go back to the phone lines, and we'll talk next to Myla, listening in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Myla.
Hi, Hank. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hey, I just have a question regarding the Holy Spirit. What is the difference between being born again and being filled with the Holy Spirit? Because it says that we're born of the word of life, and then it talks about being filled with the Holy Spirit. So what is the difference? Is there a difference? Is it the same thing?
Well, we're born of the Spirit, and therefore we should marvel when Jesus says that a man must be born again. That doesn't mean that he enters his mother's womb a second time, but he is born from above. So anyone who is born again is filled with the Spirit, or the way in which the Bible talks about this, he is indwelt, or she is indwelt by the Holy Spirit. The temple of your body becomes the temple of the Holy Spirit. That means that you have come into a special sanctifying relationship with the Spirit of God. Now, those who are indwelt with the Spirit as born-again believers are also being continuously infilled by the Spirit. And that's a way of saying that they are being empowered for service, so that we might rightly say that what we do is not by might nor by power, but by the Spirit.
Okay, so when it warns us not to quench the Holy Spirit, how is that possible? Is that with our own will? Is that what did they mean when they say don't quench the Holy Spirit?
Sure. Well, you quench the Spirit when you live your life in opposition to the Spirit, such that instead of being transformed by the renewing of your mind, you're being conformed to the principles of this world. This, of course, is what Paul says in Romans chapter 12, doesn't he? He says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and his perfect will.
Okay, and that is by the power of the Holy Spirit to be transformed in our thinking.
Sure.
So, we know the power of God is stronger than any power, including our own will. So what could possibly quench the Holy Spirit?
It's when our will is not aligned with his will, when we do those things that grieve the Holy Spirit. As believers, we can sin, and when we do, it grieves the Holy Spirit as opposed to pleasing the Holy Spirit. So when David, though he was Israel's quintessential king, took a census, it was grieving to the Holy Spirit. When he had Uriah killed on the battlefront so that he could have his wife, it grieved the Holy Spirit. But David never lost the Holy Spirit because he wanted to be restored by the Spirit. Restore to me your spirit, O God, is the prayer of David. Grant a willing spirit to sustain me, then I will teach sinners your ways, and sinners will turn back to you. So though David sinned, his heart was still after God. God forgave him his sin. Obviously, the consequences never left him. The sword never left his home, so the consequences follow inexorably like night follows day. But yet, the spirit within him, though grieved, did not leave him.
Yes, so do you believe that as a Christian and a Holy Spirit-filled Christian, that if they do fall into a trap of sin and disobedience and rebellion, that it is also a part of God's plan to possibly save people around that particular Christian? Like, for instance, the story of Jonah, how when he was in the boat and he and the other men had different gods, but they came to the living God because of his
Well, I don't think we should ever sin with impunity for that reason. But yes, I mean, to a direct answer to your question, the Bible's emphatic. All things work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purposes. So God can use even the years that the locusts have eaten for his glory and for the greater good of his kingdom. But again, that is never a reason for us to sin willfully. It is always grieving to the Holy Spirit that dwells within us. Be right back with more answers.